Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be talking about the natural order. Now, quick warning before any of you get triggered out there. Number one, I'm unfiltered and I don't care what you think and your feelings. I'm going to speak the truth as it is in the Bible. Number two, this is a symbolic text, okay? So we're not looking at the Bible as literal history. We're looking at it through symbolism, and we're also interpreting it through the lens of a man, a masculine man, not these weak, effeminate beta males that you see these days running around here. So if you can handle those two things, you understand what I just talked about, you'll be able to watch this entire video, grasp a deeper understanding of the context in which Genesis is being presented to the average person, and take away the RP truths hidden within the scriptures. So I'm going to be taking you through the presentation Adam then Eve. This is the natural order, the way God intended things to be, the way nature set things up to play out in a way that would work in a systematic fashion. So if you don't like how things are working these days in today's world, where things are reversed and flipped around and left is right and right is left and up is down, the reason all of that's happening is because we've inverted the scriptures and the natural order of things. And I'm going to stand on saying that until they take me down, because I don't care anymore. We need to go back to a system that works and the way nature intended it to be set up. And when man tries to interfere and play the role of God, you see what is happening in the world will continue. So with that out of the way, this is the natural order of how things are supposed to be. So the first thing we're going to look at when we're diving into the natural order is mind state polarity, which is the mind states between a man and a woman and what those two mind states represent. So based on the Bible and the symbolism in the Bible from Genesis, Adam embodies the mind state of someone with strength. Okay. Eve came from Adam's rib after Adam was on the earth. This is symbolic, remember. And Eve shows in the story a mind state of weakness and easily being manipulated by her emotions. So let's break down Eve's polarity, which is weakness, compared to Adam's strength a little bit further. Eve, she's easily tricked by the serpent, or what some would call the devil. That leads us to ask, well, how exactly was she tricked? What is the underlying theme of how she was tricked? The serpent, or the devil, appeals to her vanity. Remember, guys, we're going to break down the scripture right here in Genesis chapter 3, verses 2 through 6. This is in a King James version of the Bible, so it's the purest form that we have at the moment. If you want to follow along, feel free to. If not, follow along on the screen. We're going to break down exactly how the devil appealed to Eve's vanity. To set up some of the backstory before we begin, Eve, who was taken out of Adam's rib, is in the garden away from Adam when the serpent or the devil approaches her. And this is her talking to the serpent, or the temptation. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So Eve's telling the serpent, we can eat of all this fruit in the garden, except for that one tree in the middle right here. God said, if we eat that tree, we will die. So the serpent responds, Ye shall not surely die. For God know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So that's the serpent injecting that poisonous mindset of vanity into the mind of Eve, saying, you won't die. Don't listen to what God says. Instead, you'll be just like God, and you'll know everything he knows, and you'll live forever. He's just afraid of you. God is just afraid of you. And that's why he doesn't want you to touch that tree. So he's appealing to her vanity and her emotions. So let's continue. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So it was pleasant to her eyes, once again, vanity, and it had a desire, because of what the serpent said, to make one wise. Once again, appealing to her emotions. So now we're going to take a look at the symbolism within this story from the emotional versus logical perspective, from both Adam, Eve, and the serpent, and the underlying things that I need you to take away to improve your life and make sure that you don't end up like how Adam was and fall into temptation. There's a lot of hidden gems in this. I need you to really pay attention. So the serpent strategy, and once again, this is all symbolic, is the serpent bypassed Eve's logical thinking. The serpent was able to get Eve to eat from the tree that God said not to eat from by appealing to her emotions instead of her rational mind, because women are more emotional than men most of the time. So he targeted her emotions instead of her logic. The serpent also proved that emotions can override clear instructions, even by God. This shows how emotional manipulation works. So Eve's reaction. Eve made an emotional rather than a logical decision. And she broke the one rule that she was given to by God when she had the whole garden to choose from, everything she could have wanted, but she chose to disobey God and eat from that one tree because deception, the serpent who appealed to her vanity, whispered into her emotional mind and manipulated her emotions to rationalize that it was okay to do so, and that she would in turn become like God herself, and Adam would have the same thing, and that God in fact was the one that was wrong, because the serpent was able to appeal to her emotional mind. This shows how emotions can override better judgment. Eve also became an agent of further temptation by bringing the fruit to Adam, because she didn't just herself take a bite of this fruit that she wasn't supposed to. No, she took a bite, walked over, found Adam, and gave him the fruit. And now we're going to talk about Adam's fall, because trust me guys, as much as we want to blame Eve for this, and there's a lot to blame on her, Adam is the underlying problem and issue with this story and a lot of the issues that guys are facing today. Okay, a lot of the disrespect, a lot of the betaization of men comes from men allowing their woman or women in their lives to disrespect them and emotionally manipulate them into following her program or her set of rules instead of him following what he internally knows is true and what he believes in. He folds like a chair at a picnic for his woman because he's afraid of losing her. So what did Adam do exactly? Well, he succumbed to his weaker state of mind, Eve's mind. He succumbed to the mind of the feminine instead of the mind of the masculine, strong and independent, thinking for himself and being a rational, logical thinker. He let his emotions override his position of authority. He also failed to maintain his logical framework. So the story sounds good and dandy, but how does this exactly apply to you that's watching this thousands of years after this was written? You know, sometimes we can get caught up in thinking this is history, and I'm not here to get into a debate over that, but let's talk about what this story and the symbolism in this story means exactly to you and your life situation and what you want to do in order to get the best results in your life. Well, the first thing is emotional reactions are often signs of weakness. Usually the smallest, weakest dog has the most bark, but the smallest bites. Okay, you see this all the time with little chihuahuas out there, and you see the same thing with these weak, beta-sized men that have given their power over to their wives and act extremely emotional. This guy is completely in his feels and has given his power away like a bag with water in it that has a hole in it, and she's just draining him of all of his masculinity. And she actually, you know, she views him as such a pathetic male that she's going to continue to poke holes in that bag until she just drains him all his power. He eventually becomes a cuck. And then if that continues and she still ends up with that guy, that can actually lead to that man getting a hit placed on him because she just totally disrespects him. She starts sleeping with other guys, and it goes down the rabbit hole if you allow your emotional state to overtake your logical thinking as a man and allow her to run the relationship. Number 2, logic should always check emotional responses. So instead of reacting on that first feeling that comes up in your mind when you're going through something, I really want you to take your time moving forward and sit with it for, a minute to 5 minutes to maybe even a day sometimes, and center yourself. Think about why you're doing something the way you're doing it. Think about maybe if there's another way to do it, and write it down on paper. I noticed that when I write things down on paper, I'm able to actually put things together in a way that I can actually see in a sequential manner in front of me. So that way I'm not just emotionally reacting on how I feel in the moment, but I'm giving it time to sit and marinate in my mind, and I'm also looking at it in front of me and I can map out from there. The next takeaway I need you to understand is important decisions require rational thinking, not emotional thinking like we just talked about. The next thing you should implement in your life is a strong frame, and that requires emotional discipline and control. You won't get a strong frame if you're emotionally weak and you let the ups and downs of the day-to-day, the hour-to-hour feelings, and what happens in your surroundings get to you. Life is going to happen, and as a man, you have to remain a solid, strong pillar while the rest of the world is the wind or the flag that's nearby the pillar that just goes with whatever way the wind is blowing. You know your values and your morals and your integrity, and you have your own compass that's set north, and you know what goals you need to do. And you must remain on that path no matter what is going on around you. So you have to realize that everything's going to change. The world's constantly changing. The universe itself actually means, if you break it down, uni meaning one, and then verse meaning change. So it's one giant change. Everything's constantly changing. The seasons, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything's rotating around each other. But you as a man, you have to stay solid and disciplined on your foundation. You can't be wavering. The next key lesson I need you to take away is you need to balance emotion with logic. Okay? You can't, once again, polarize yourself to being emotional in your feelings, getting all sensitive, getting butthurt if she doesn't call you or text you back, or she ghosts you. I used to be like that. Can't let her get to you. You have to balance your emotion. If she's a freak, or she has signs that maybe she's a girl that's going to sleep with other guys while you're with her, you can't be emotionally attached to that. You have to be logical and understand that you're having fun with her in the moment, but you're not attached, but you are attached to your purpose and what you're building and who you are internally. The next thing we as men need to work on is checking our emotional reactions before acting. So you feel the anger or the emotion swelling up within you because some BS happened, which is guaranteed to happen because we live in a universe of change and ups and downs, and you check it before you express it. So you feel it coming up. Wow, this sucks. This just happened. I can't believe it. But I'm not going to do what the Netflix soy boy simp is doing on TV and let it emotionally run me and run after the taxi as she's leaving town. Oh, baby, please take me. I figured it out now. You're the one. You're the one for me. Jesse, come back. I love you. I figured everything out. No. You're a man. You check that emotion. You distance yourself from it. You absorb it. That hurt. Okay? You swallow it like a pill, and you tuck it all the way deep down into your subconscious mind until it just disappears and it's gone. There's this movement now where it's like men need to be more in tune with their emotions and be more sensitive. Fuck that. You're a fucking grown man. I went down that emotional, sensitive path being raised by a single mother with not the strongest male figures around me, and it led me to multiple heartbreaks, getting my ass fucking slapped once by a female. Don't be a bitch. Check your emotional state, value yourself, and love yourself. Don't follow the trends of society and how everyone's being emotionally manipulated these days and being betatized. You need to hold your frame through logical thinking. So if someone's saying something that you know doesn't make any sense logically or rationally, and we've entered that zone as a society, you should know what I'm talking about when I say these things. If it's not logical, it doesn't make sense, if it's emotional based, check it, throw it away, understand it's garbage, and stick to your internal compass of what you know to be true. So last but not least, don't let others' emotions control your actions. Like how Adam, without even thinking logically, just took the fruit from the tree from Eve, just believed her, and ate from it because the serpent or temptation manipulated and tricked the woman. And you see this all the time. Adam and Eve is a perfect example of the modern day relationship and why they fail and why we're in the state we're in as an emotional society that's very sensitive and betatized nowadays. So check that at the gate and realize that you have extreme value as a man, and understand that no matter what's going on around you, you yourself must remain a solid rock. While the rest of the world is built on sand, you're built on a solid foundation. You're firm in your own beliefs. You're not wavering. You're not catering to making others like you, but you yourself know what to be true, and you stick to your values and your core compass. And if you enjoyed this video, you want to see more content like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment something, because it triggers the algorithm and it gets this message out to more young guys. We need this message to spread, guys. More people need to get woken up to the truth and understanding of these things. This video is not meant to put men against women, but to show you that there's a natural order of how things should be based on Genesis. And if we follow those things and we let the man lead, a man that's capable of leading, not a male, but an actual masculine man that has a center about himself and understands his moral compass and his values, then the world will change for the better when men step up and do these things. Because women are emotionally based, and they're going to follow the leader. So if men aren't leading, they're going to follow the advertisements and whatever is being pushed down from the top. And we know what the top is. I don't even have to say that. You know where it's coming from, and you know where we're headed if this doesn't stop. So I love you all. Have a blessed rest of your day.